Welcome to Prescribing Lifestyle, the podcast that's all about empowering you to live your healthiest, happiest life. I'm your host, Dr. Avi Charlton, and each week we'll dive into the latest research, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you optimize your well-being. From nutrition and fitness to mental health and mindfulness, we'll explore every aspect of lifestyle medicine, giving you the tools you need to make informed decisions and take control of your health. Whether you're looking into preventing disease, managing chronic conditions, or simply elevate your quality of life, Prescribing Lifestyle is here to guide you on your journey to wellness. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to embark on this transformative adventure towards a healthier, happier you. Let's dive in. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Today I bring to you a very special guest, Larry Holt. He is the carnivore pensioner. He's such an inspirational person that I've connected with over the last few months. He's got a massive YouTube channel with 2.8 thousand followers, over 117,000 views, 162 videos. He's an inspirational person with a very active Facebook group, lots of contents, all very inspirational. And he has written a few books recently, so all very awesome content. I bought a couple. Some of them are free. So welcome to the podcast, Larry.
Thank you, Avi. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Let's get you to introduce yourself and tell us about your journey. How did you get here?
Oh, wow. Yes, I guess the YouTube and all of the things that you mentioned have just been in the last, 6 months, really. It was July last year when I started the YouTube channel, and I never intended to start a YouTube channel. I just had been on trying out the carnivore diet, and I had such amazing results. I thought, well, I should tell my story, and so I filmed it, and I thought, what do I do with it? And then I thought, I'll put it on YouTube, thinking, that this won't work at all. Went to bed and got up the next morning, and it had over 1,000 views and 87 subscribers or something. And I thought,
Wow.
my goodness. It didn't stay at that rate. It's been a long, slow build.
Okay.
But it's been an interesting journey. But it started, I guess, for me, the whole health journey, probably about 18 months before that.
Okay.
And I had grown up, I guess, with a very almost lottery system of health. I always thought, well, you're going to get something sooner or later, and it's just pot luck. Whatever you get, cop it on the chin, grin it and bear it. Everybody's going to get something. It's sort of que sera, whatever will be, will be.
Yeah.
And I also, coupled with that, I had this almost godlike attitude towards doctors, that doctors are very wise and we don't know anything. So you just, whatever the doctor says, you just do it without question. Why go to see the doctor if you're not going to take their advice?
Yeah.
And so I grew up with this mentality that you just do what your doctor says. And I've found out that was not really helping me.
Okay.
I went to see my GP here in Pakenham about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And I just said I need a checkup. I haven't been for a couple of years, and get all the blood work done and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the doctor ordered the blood work and got a CT scan of my chest. And I came back in and she said to me, well, you've got, you're insulin resistant and you've got very high blood pressure. I think it was up 190 over something.
Wow.
And she said, you're got a fatty liver, and there seems to be some calcification on the arteries around your heart.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting there thinking, my goodness, I didn't even know what some of these things meant.
Yep.
And I said, so what do we do? And she said, I'll give you a tablet for the blood pressure, and that will get your blood pressure down.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, you just do what the doctor says. So I took the
Yes.
tablets, and I got myself a blood pressure machine so I could monitor my blood pressure at home.
Yep.
And my blood pressure stayed very high.
Yep.
So I went back to see my doctor again, and she said to me this time, we'll increase the dose. We'll double the strength.
Yep.
And it still didn't work. So I went back a third time, and she said to me, we'll give you 2 tablets.
Okay.
You're a diuretic, I think she said as well.
Yep. Yep.
And so I took those, and still nothing happened.
Oh, no.
And I was getting very concerned at this stage, and I just thought this is not working. And I had some friends who had tried the carnivore diet, and I looked at that. I'd never heard of it, and I just thought that's just crazy. You couldn't do that. It is just too extreme. You couldn't sustain it. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But my friends had done really.
Sorry. Did you feel unwell, or did you have any physical ailment before that?
No, not really.
Quite
not really.
overweight?
I was not aware of anything. I was overweight quite a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought at the time, well, I started to watch YouTube videos, and I started reading avidly. I'd never been a reader, but in the space of 3 months, I read about 20 books, all on diabetes and health, and Ben Bickman, Why We Get Sick, and so many of the, of the authors. And I found it absolutely fascinating. So I thought, I'm going to give this a try. I thought, what I'll do is I'll tell people it's an experiment. That way, if it doesn't work, I've got an out.
Yep.
So
idea.
I started the carnivore diet with great enthusiasm. The first 2 weeks were pretty rough. A lot of constipation and zero energy. I could hardly get off a chair.
Oh, wow.
But it came good just after 2 weeks, and then it got a lot better. And I lost weight, and I didn't lose weight at first, but after 2 weeks I was losing weight quite steadily.
Wow.
And I lost about 20 kilos within 3 months.
Wow. That's
and
amazing.
But after 1 month, my blood pressure dropped. So I went back to see my doctor, and she said, "Oh, that's good. You can come off the tablets." So that was good news, because I really wanted to get off the tablets.
Of course.
But I said to her, how come the blood pressure dropped? I've lost some weight. And she said to me, of course your blood pressure will fall if you lose weight. I never said anything. I bit my tongue, but I thought, you didn't tell me that. You told me to take tablets. Anyway, I lost weight, and my blood pressure came down. But then I noticed that all my metabolic health markers, the 5 markers, I failed all 5 when I started, and after 3 months I had blood work done again, and I passed all 5.
Oh, wow.
And
Great.
I just thought, this is working. And then I discovered that I had so much energy. I was feeling really good. I'd had plantar fasciitis in my feet for years, and used to hobble about. It was very debilitating. And that disappeared. And so many things, like I used to have a lot of pain in my fingers in the joints, and that disappeared. And
I might just pause you there. Sorry, Larry. I might just pause you there and go through the 5 markers of metabolic syndrome for our listeners who might not be familiar. So with metabolic syndrome, the 5 markers, you only need 3 out of the 5 to satisfy the diagnosis of metabolic syndrome. And the 5 markers are high blood pressure, high fasting glucose, high triglyceride, low HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and high waist circumference. So you only need 3 out of the 5, and we can diagnose give the diagnosis of metabolic syndrome. And you had all 5 of them, Larry.
Yeah, I failed all 5. I think I narrowly passed on one of them, which was at the not the blood pressure. Oh, I mean, blood pressure came down, but I think on the blood glucose, I'm narrowly passed. But they all improved, and when by the time I've been on this for a little while, I had a tick on every one.
And how long was it when you did the blood test again? How long
after
did it
3
take?
months of carnivore.
Oh, great. Okay. And all the aches and pains have gone away, and
but then
fasciitis.
On top of the physical things, then there's all the, emotional things like, having more energy, but then your way you think is clearer. You lose all that brain fog. I didn't even know what brain fog was. But you think more clearly and you're more productive. If I made a YouTube video, a 10-minute video would take me a whole day, whereas now it takes me an hour or so.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you get better at what you do too, but
yes.
But just being able to think more clearly and more logically and calmer. You're not the things that would make me erupt didn't make me erupt anymore. I just shrug my shoulders and say that's okay, So I had a calmer sense, and then the thing I love about it is that it starts off with just the body. People start off with low carb or carnivore. I want to lose some weight. This is the latest diet. I'll give it a try.
Yep.
And if they stay the course, they generally lose the weight, but then they discover a whole lot of other health benefits.
Yeah.
But then you hear stories of people that are on, medication for mental health. And I just heard so many stories of people that are getting off their medication, and I think this is massive. That's a huge problem in the world. I mean, half my family are on some medication for mental health, including my kids.
Okay.
So I just thought this is huge. But then as your life simplifies, you're thinking more clearly. Then you start to examine again, why am I here?
Okay.
And so it leads almost into a spiritual or, looking for a sense of purpose of because you're thinking more clearly, you've got more time, your life is more simple, you're feeling a lot better. So what am I going to do now?
Leads you to a whole lot of...
I love that progression.
Yeah, so you have explored lots of other things other than your diet as well. Tell us about that progression. What have you found so far?
Yeah, well, I found that I think the first thing I found was the learning more and reading and watching YouTube. And I think that is so important. I always say to people now, you'll go to your doctor and your doctor will give you an examination and they'll give you a diagnosis because they're good at that. They can diagnose what the problem is and give it a name. So they might say, oh, you've got diabetes or you've got gout or you've got whatever, and then give you the medication. Well, my attitude now is if my doctor gives something a name, I want to know about it. I'll go on a mission. I'll read every book on that subject I can find, listen to every video I can find on it. And as you read, you learn more. Yeah. And when you learn more, you become more confident. And I listen to people. I mostly listen to doctors and medical people, but on YouTube, when I'm listening to a sort of a lay person, and they're very confident, I think they've been reading,
Absolutely.
Because the more you know, it gives you greater confidence.
Yes.
And confidence gives you strength. And so reading was the first one. And then, of course, walking. I've always loved walking and sometimes bike riding. Yeah. My real passion is to get out in the canoe, and I do that a lot, especially this time of year. So just in 2 weeks' time, I'm off on another multi-day trip in the canoe, paddling down a river.
I love
I
it.
just find that very therapeutic on every level.
That's great.
And then, of course, we've been experimenting with things like when you introduced us to breathwork.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I have been practicing that and listening to your tapes, your sessions again, and bought the book for the course that you had done.
Okay, great.
And Joe's read that. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list.
The book is about breathing. Is that the
yes,
James Nestor one or Oxygen
I think
Advantage
so.
one?
Yeah, the one you
James
mentioned at
Nestor.
the breathwork seminar.
Yeah, so that's Breath by James Nestor. It talks a lot about the history of how a lot of people are not breathing properly nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess just in the last few weeks, we've been experimenting with earthing or going bare feet. And
Yeah.
it's something I'd always had it in the back of my mind. I'd heard about it and
Yep.
I knew basically what it was. I guess the thing with earthing is that when I began to read about it, I just thought the quantity and the quality of research that has been done is very significant.
Wow. Okay.
And very compelling. And
Yep.
there's published studies that are, and that impressed me. I thought there's got to be something in this.
Yep. Yep.
So it was when you said that you were starting to dabble in it, I thought, well, if my doctor can do it, I'll give it a go.
I must admit, you're probably doing much more than me because time poor. I only do 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't have to
early
go
in the
to work.
morning.
But,
Yeah.
I found people ask me about the results, and there's nothing sort of tangible that I can measure.
Yep.
But I know that it's an amazing feeling.
Okay.
And particularly if the grass is wet. Like I'll go in the backyard in the morning before the sun's come up while the grass is still wet and just walk. We've got a big backyard, so I can walk in circles slowly there. Or in the evening, Joe and I go for a longer walk. But, yeah, I don't have to go to work and do 1,000 other things like you do, so I have a bit more time. But it's been very interesting. I think we're day 16 of our 30-day trial. And certainly we got a grounding sheet to put in our bed.
Yeah, I saw you posted about that.
Out of curiosity, and we're certainly sleeping better.
Okay.
And my wife's convinced it's given her less aches and pains in her joints in bed, and she stopped getting leg cramps, which she was getting a lot at night.
Oh, right.
So anyway, I don't know. It's certainly fascinating, but all I know really for sure is that it feels amazing.
That's great.
And I can go out walking, particularly if the grass is wet. An hour later after I get home, I can still feel it. I can still smell it. It's like the sensation is within you. It's hard to describe, but I just think, oh, I like this.
That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
I wonder if you've heard of HRV, heart rate variability. Have you measured your heart rate variability?
No, I haven't.
Maybe your next thing to research, Larry.
Heart rate.
Heart rate variability. So you can look it up. It measures your heart rate going up and down. I have a Garmin watch and I have a Whoop watch that measures how my heart rate goes up and down. And I'm just wondering, with you testing on different things that's happening to your body, if there's apps that you can get on the phones that you can measure your heart rate.
Yeah.
Or if you are keen to spend money on a gadget, you can check your heart rate variability and see how your journey improves your heart rate variability.
Oh, okay. I'll have to have a look at that.
But I agree with people that does a lot of research, a lot of patients that has done a lot of reading. I am quite humbled to say that a lot of these patients actually know much more about a condition than me. So I listen to these patients who have researched a lot about these topics, and I certainly would go and dig into the topics myself.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I went to a very rough high school, and had no sort of encouragement or anything. And I dropped out of high school halfway through. So I never did any science at all. So
Okay.
if these books on different topics, if they get too scientific, they can lose me fairly easily.
Oh,
But if I
okay.
concentrate and write things down, and if I have a challenging book, I'll read a chapter, make some notes, and then I'll close the notes and go and explain it to my wife what the chapter was about. And
Yeah.
you slowly learn more doing it that way. But I found it really fascinating. I thought I could have done this at school. I could have been a doctor. I could have done this.
Yeah, I think you can because you're learning so
Yeah.
much and you're so willing to learn. You're reading up on so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I sort of have a natural love for people, and all my life, you see a person, you want to help them,
Yeah.
especially if you see them struggling somewhere. And I see so many of my friends, sort of my age, that I'm 68, and we were just over in Adelaide just recently and met up with some friends there that we hadn't seen for a long time, just our age, but both of them significantly overweight and struggling to get out of the chair and struggling to walk. And I think,
Yeah.
oh, my heart just breaks. I think this could be so much better.
I know. Whereas you're going canoeing, you're going
Yeah.
walking bare feet. Amazing. That's amazing journey. So let's just go back to carnivore. Did you find it hard? Did you find that it was hard not eating the things that you used to like to eat, like the carbs and the sweets and the treats and the vegetables?
Yeah. I thought I would, but I didn't.
Mm.
The first 2 weeks were hard, not so much by what I was eating, but the side effects. And I think I would have, if I was doing it again, I would have maybe, gone a more keto-like diet
Yeah.
for a while, for a transition of some sort. But I just, typical guy, I can do this. Let's get it done,
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad, but once it started to get better, it got a lot better. But I found that it's interesting. Your whole concept of food changes,
Yeah.
and food is so dominant in our culture, and everything that you go to, where there's a gathering of people, there's going to be a food there.
Yes.
At everything, a work dinner or a family dinner, or anywhere you go is food.
Yep.
And it's part of our culture, and it becomes, what's better than sitting with friends around a table and eating and drinking together?
Absolutely.
It's key to community and being together.
Yeah.
But I found on carnivore, your attitude to food changes from being something that you celebrate with or have with friends to being something that sustains you. And it took me a while because my wife and I go to a small group that meet at a cafe once a fortnight, and the cafe is owned by a couple of the people in the group. So we have the cafe to ourselves, and it always involves a meal. There's just a set menu that's given to us, and we all eat together, about 20 people. And so when I started carnivore, I just decided, well, I'll just not eat. I'll just sit there and have a glass of water.
Oh, wow.
Now,
Okay.
the first time I did that felt really weird.
Yeah, of course.
And everybody commented, "You're not eating. Where's your food?"
Yeah.
But by the time I'd done it 3 or 4 times, nobody would even bat an eyelid, and now it just feels normal to me.
Okay.
I found too that the meat is very satiating and very satisfying, and I'd always liked meat, and I found on carnivore that my love for meat just increased.
Yeah. I guess now that you know meat is so nutritious and it's helps you to helps your body to heal and feel much better.
Yeah.
That might just make you
And
love meat
I
a
was
bit
thinking
more.
just recently too with the bare feet thing in Carnivore.
Okay.
Back when we were kids,
Yep.
you know, Mum wanted us to eat our vegetables, and you know, typical Australian menu was meat and 3 veg.
Yep.
And so you get your chop or whatever it was, and potato, pumpkin, and peas or something, and we would have to eat our vegetables. But as kids, we would always eat the meat first.
Yeah.
That was what we gravitated to. She never had to try and convince us to eat meat. We loved the meat, but she'd sit there dreaming up schemes on how to get us to eat our vegetables. And then whenever we went outside, we would instinctively take our shoes off.
Yes.
And I thought, isn't it funny that kids seem to innately know meat is good for you and being bare feet on grass is good for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But over time, I soon discovered that 3 meals a day was too much.
Okay.
And it wasn't by any big choice. We're going to do 2 meals a day now. It was just because we weren't hungry.
Yep.
So now we have, we're pretty settled on 2 meals a day. We have breakfast about 9 o'clock in the morning when everyone else is at work. And that's usually just egg and bacon.
Yep.
And sometimes an avocado, but don't tell anybody. And then the other meal is usually just meat.
Okay.
Like today, we had some pork ribs, or we'll have roast lamb or something, and we have that about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
And so then we don't eat again till morning. And I just find that I'm never hungry.
Yep.
You know, my life used to be consumed by snacks. I'd have a coffee and I'd want a chocolate biscuit with it, or a slice of some sort.
Yep.
And I'd just do this, you know, 5 cups of coffee and 5 snacks a day on top of my meals. And
that's typical. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just found it always puzzles me, because the most common question I see on the carnivore groups on Facebook is, what can I have for a snack? And I'm thinking, you don't want a snack. That's the old life, you know. If you're eating properly, you shouldn't feel like a snack.
Yeah.
Anyway, I made a video on carnivore snacks and it went way up. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things. It could be that the people are just habitual and they want to put something in the mouth.
Yeah.
It could be some mental things that's happening that they want comfort. And it's certainly, we're used to putting things into our mouth as comfort eating. Could be addiction, could be so many things that people want to have snacks.
Yeah, I really feel for people who, in a household where they're the only person doing this on low carb or carnivore, and so that the kitchen is full of other food. And I know for me, I would find that immensely difficult. If there's chocolate in the cupboard, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
So what we did, we decided early on that my wife was with me in this.
Yeah.
And she was just ruthless. She said, we're going to go through the pantry and the fridge. And she looked at every packet, and if it had any sugar or soy oil or those sorts of things in it, she put it out on the bench. And we filled the counter up. We filled three large garbage bags and we chucked it out.
Well done.
And so the cupboards are nice and empty and the fridge is nice and empty. So now you open our fridge, there's just meat and some mineral water, eggs, of course. So it's such a simple life. You know, everything's simple.
Yep. That is the best way to do it. But some people, they can't convince the rest of the family to do it. My kids aren't low carb, keto or carnivore, and I still got bread in the house and my husband won't be convinced. So I just go along my own journey and that's okay. And I'm so used to it now that I don't have to have them going on the same journey as me.
Yeah. And everyone's different, so, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's great. I love your work. Tell us that you've produced a few books. Tell us what books you produced recently.
Oh, most of them are fairly short, just on single topics sort of. But I had to go at a recipe book because people would always ask for recipes. And I think, why would you need a recipe for cooking a steak or cooking a chop or cooking some roast lamb? I thought, this is crazy, but they kept asking for it. So I thought, I'll put a recipe book together. And I think I put 50 recipes in it, but all of them are just like 2 steps. And I thought, this is so, it's too simple to be worth a book, but that's what people wanted help with. So I did that. And then I did one on, mainly based on my YouTube channel. I knew all the questions that people ask. And one day I came up with a list of 50 questions that I reckon people interested in carnivore ask repeatedly. So I thought, I'll just use the scripts of my videos and put that together on answering all the questions. So that was another book. So So anyway, they're not very grand works of art, but
no, they're great. I'm going to put all the links into the show notes for this episode of podcast.
Yeah.
Great. And you've got a very good connected Facebook group that people have been communicating very well and connecting well.
Yes, I'm probably more proud of the Facebook group than I am the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Because, as I said earlier, I've got this heart for people. And if I make a YouTube video, I set up the camera, I talk, they listen, and that's it, But I wanted to be able to interact with people and have people share their stories and ask questions and have a community. So early on, I started the Facebook group. And I remember the day I was the only member for about a month.
Oh, okay.
And then I got 1, and then I got 2, and then it took off from there. But I probably put more work into the Facebook group than I do YouTube, although it's probably neck and neck, because I spend a lot of time trying to connect with people and chat with people and engage people, not just in my own group, but in other groups. And that's where my heart really is, to engage with people and to see people make changes. And nothing excites me more than seeing somebody start. And I did an interview just about 3 weeks ago with a guy called Bob. It's on my channel. He just turned 80 and he's starting.
Wow.
And I just was so inspired. I just thought, wow, that is 80 and he's gonna do this, And I was so motivated by that. So the Facebook group's been very, very rewarding. And then I just I plug away at the YouTube, and I've got it down to a shorter time span now. And I found when I started, I set up a fancy studio behind me and put all the works in, got cameras and lights and everything. And then one day I recorded outside, and everybody said, "Oh, it's so much better." So now I just record outside. So because we live on a lovely farm, so we've got lots of scenery and cows and everything. So it works pretty well.
Awesome.
And but I quite enjoy. I've always loved cameras and recording things and sharing my story and all of those sorts of things. And it's a sort of a difficult field because it's really, technically speaking, it's a medical field, and I'm not medically trained at all. So I try to stay away from the medical questions. And my aim is to be more a friend on the journey, a companion on the road, to bring a word of encouragement and to motivate people. And but I have to continually remind people, look, I'm not a doctor and you need to go and see a doctor.
No, I absolutely love all your videos. It's so motivational, and I've been encouraging some of my patients who are struggling with their mindset. They feel like it's hard. They feel like they're missing out. They just want to have the treats. And then Christmas came and they feel like they can't be consistent. They're blaming themselves. So I have been directing them to watch some of your stuff on how you stay consistent and just sharing stuff around.
I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy it. I think if people can find a friend, it's very hard on your own. It's just you against the world. It's tough. And not only is there great value in having a companion, but to link into the community. Like as I said earlier, I was over in Adelaide for Carnivore Collective back in November.
Yeah.
And there was, 400 or 500 people there. And the atmosphere was electric. And people were embracing and hugging. People you'd never met. And I just thought this community is fantastic,
Yeah.
And if you'll miss out on that sense of community if you try and go it alone. Not just true for carnivore, but low carb or whatever you're trying to do. Connect with a community, and
that's right.
People will encourage you, and you in turn can encourage others.
Yeah, I don't know if you signed up to the Regenerate Health Conference. Did you sign up to that? It's in March.
I don't think so.
No? Did you know about that?
No.
I'll put some more posts in. Max Goldhain organised that one. Max Goldhain and Simon Lewis from the Regenerate Health Conference. So you can check out Max Goldhain. I'll put the links there too. And he's another great low-carb carnivore GP. He works in Albury. So I got a call from Simon Lewis, who organises this. He works with Anthony Chafee. So he suggested that I share this around. I'm certainly going to this Regenerate Health Conference, and just to spread the word of low carb, carnivore, sunlight, all the usual. Yeah, so you might want to look into that. I'll put the link on the show notes as well.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Great. All right. So where can our listeners find you, Larry?
Look, on every platform I have the same name. It's just Carnivore Pensioner.
Right.
So on YouTube it's Carnivore Pensioner. There's only one of me.
Okay.
Same on Facebook groups. You can join the Facebook group, or you can connect via the YouTube, or once you get on Facebook, you can send me a message. There, my email address is on the top of my Facebook page. It's just carnivorepensioner@gmail.com.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty easy to contact, and I love hearing from people. And I'm still small enough that I can answer every comment, and so I spend a lot of time responding to comments.
That's awesome. I'll put all the links in the show notes as well.
Okay.
I'll get you to give the listeners one last advice. What would you advise our listeners? What's the main advice that you have learned that you would give as an advice on this podcast episode?
Yeah, that's an easy one for me. It comes from Dr. Philip Ovadia, cardiologist who wrote the book Stay Off My Operating Table.
Yeah.
And I was listening to him on YouTube one day, and he'd spoken for an hour, but at the end he was asked to sum up what his message would be. And I've never forgotten what he said, and it's been a guiding principle for me. He said, you've got to realize that your primary health provider is you. And he said, you have got to become your own doctor. And I was, what? This is coming from a heart specialist saying you've got to become your own doctor. But look, what he's really saying is you've got to take responsibility for your health.
Yep.
And if you've got some condition or something that you're not happy with, or you're overweight, or you've got diabetes, or you've got whatever, take massive action, learn all you can. And I think this is true with everything in life.
Yes.
You haven't got a job. Well, you've got to take massive action, or whatever the situation is, nobody's going to come and save you.
That's right.
You've got to say, the person that's going to get me out of this is me. And your doctor can certainly help. And but I think what I see so many people do is they go to the doctor, and the doctor gives their condition a name, and then they've got their tablets.
Yeah.
And then they just go home, take the tablets, and pretend everything's good.
Yeah.
Like I've got a brother-in-law who's been diagnosed with diabetes. He's significantly overweight. And every day I saw him just recently, he said, every day I walk down to the bakery with my wife and we have a cup of coffee and a piece of cake. And we do that every day. And I just shake my head and I think, and he says, well, I've got my medication. And I can't understand that mindset. If somebody told me I had something, I want to fix it.
Exactly, I agree.
I want to get out of this.
I agree with you.
And look, as much as I love doctors, if I had only ever done what my doctor said to me, this is not you, this is prior to you, and she was a good GP. I thought very highly of her. But if I'd only ever done what she had told me to do, I'd still be in exactly the same situation I was.
Yes.
I'd still be taking blood pressure tablets, be overweight, and it was only when I decided I've got to do something.
Yeah. And
it wasn't that she was wrong. It's just that I had not accepted any responsibility.
Yeah.
And I thought I've got to take the initiative.
Yeah.
And if I don't know what to do, then I've got to read and I've got to learn and I've got to study and find out.
That is great. I love it.
That would be my one piece of advice is you've got to be responsible for your own health.
That's right.
And certainly talk to your doctor and be guided by your doctor and hopefully get counsel and support from your doctor. But you've got to do it. You've got to take the initiative and get rid of the rubbish in your diet and get some exercise and get off the couch. Your doctor can't do that for you. They're things that you've got to do. So, yeah.
Absolutely. As a doctor, I can only give so much advice. But if my patient will go and dig another rabbit hole and learn a bit more and keep learning from the directions, from the guidance that I give them, that'll be so much better results. And I'll be so grateful if that happens to each and every person that comes to me.
Yes. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Larry, for coming on to the Prescribing Lifestyle podcast.
Look, Avi, I just got to say, you are a breath of fresh air. You've restored my faith in doctors. Even just this afternoon, my wife and I were sitting having our meal, and she said to me, I cannot believe there's a doctor like Avi. She puts she's on Facebook and she's on this and she makes herself available. Like doctors were always untouchable. And you called them Dr. So-and-so and, but you're so real and so down to earth and so ready to engage with people. And I just find that inspirational on every level. I hope and pray we get more doctors like you.
Oh, thank you. I just want to spread the message about lifestyle, that you can empower yourself and change your health and not just rely on the doctors.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, thank you again. And to our listeners, thank you very much for staying tuned and listening to this episode of Prescribing Lifestyle. I hope it's been helpful, and get in touch with me if you have any questions or queries. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, Avi. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Before we wrap up, I have an exciting news to share. I have a new ebook called Low Carb Made Easy. It's now available. This guide is perfect for anyone looking to dive into the low carb lifestyle. Inside, you'll find the basic theory behind low carb eating, a detailed food list, practical meal plan, and a variety of delicious recipes. It's designed to make a journey to better health easier, simpler, and enjoyable. For those who prefer a hard copy, head over to my website and register your interest using the link provided. My website is www.mlcclinic.com.au. Head to online store. Remember, the information shared in this podcast, it's for educational purposes only and not proper medical advice. Always consult your medical professional before making any changes to your lifestyle and diet, or you can come and see me in Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with us on social media. Your feedback will help us improve and reach more listeners. Lastly, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family. Together, we can make a positive impact to our health and our communities. Thanks again for listening, and as always, stay healthy and happy. Until next time.